It's a real privilege this weekend to have one of the greats of boxing. He is the voice of ring announcing right around the world. Would you please welcome to Margaret Court Arena around the world also, Mr. Michael Buffer.
Thank you, sir. And indeed, it really is exciting to be here for this fantastic moment. Ladies and gentlemen, in about 26 hours, it's going to happen. At Marvel Stadium here in Melbourne, it'll be undefeated world champion versus undefeated world champion for the unified and universally recognized undisputed lightweight championship of the world. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to tell you who will be promoting this contest. Hall of Fame promoter, Mr. Lou DiBella and DiBella Entertainment, in association with Hall of Fame promoter, Mr. Bob Arum and Top Rank Incorporated. And of course, it's sanctioned by the Combat Sports Board of Victoria, along with the WBC, the WBA, the WBO, and the IBF. So now, it's time for the official weigh-in for this main event that'll come up tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? So let's get this party started. Coming to the ring, coming to the stage. First, he is from Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, and brings a perfect professional record consisting of 27 fights, 27 victories, including 15 wins by knockout. He's the undefeated WBC lightweight champion of the world, Devon the Dream Haney. And now, next up onto the stage and then to the scales, coming to the stage with a perfect professional record consisting of 20 fights, 20 victories, 10 wins by knockout. He comes to us from Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. He is the undefeated WBA, WBO, IBF lightweight champion of the world, George Ferocious Cambosis Jr.
Kicking game on the snare drum, hard on that beat, let it bleed out like sacrifices, cut it open,
undefeated champion versus undefeated champion. First onto the scales will be the WBC champion, Devon the Dream Haney. Shot through the heart and pray on my downfall. The Yeti prevailed on my outlaw. Stand on top of the table like John Wall. Got the cross on my chest like Olympic gold. Rap is move on the field like a jazz song. Witness greatness, look up and LeBron home. Remember next time before you doubt us. That only made me go John Jones. HGH, I got the shortcut. Got on my side, you got bad luck. Look at how they all doubt us. Yeah, they doubt us, yeah. Underrated, overrated, we the underdogs. Underestimated, yeah. Underrated, underrated, we the underdogs. Underestimated, we the ones.
134 pounds, 0.92. 134.92 for Devon the Dream Haney. Devon, if you could please.
Next onto the scales, ladies and gentlemen, the undefeated WBA, WBO, and IBF lightweight champion of the world, George Ferocious Kambosos.
The lightweight limit, 135 pounds. We are working in pounds this morning. And we're just going to have a change of equipment here for George Kambosis Jr. Nothing like a bit of tension on the morning of the weigh-in here at Margaret Court Arena. So much on the line tomorrow, of course. A career-defining fight between these two men. This is George Kambosis Jr. We will require a towel with George Kambosis Jr. just fractionally above the 135 pounds limit.
Back, please, for officials and a representative from each camp.
We are 26 hours away from fight time. Things are getting interesting earlier than expected here this morning. It has been an interesting build-up over the course of this week in particular. And things are getting to a tinderbox proportion here at Margaret Court this morning. If just move everybody back slightly from the scales and as much as what's happening here, yes, everyone, this will be ratified by the Victorian Combat Sports Authority under the tutelage here of Chairperson Simone Bailey. But we just need to clear a bit of space, if we could.
And the scale doesn't stop.
So at the moment, Chairperson of the Combat Sports Authority, Simone Bailey, has an official figure of 135.36 pounds, 0.36 above the lightweight limit. George Kambosis Jr. will have 2 hours to make the weight. And at 0.36 pounds, it might not take too long to get George down under the 135-pound limits. Right up until the morning before the fight, Michael.
We knew it was going to be exciting, and, you know, sometimes the scale in the hotel says one thing, but we have to go by the official scale here. The standard procedure is go to a hot room, a sauna, workout, spit a little bit, and dehydrate. And that 3/10 of a pound is nothing. That'll be no problem.
Yeah, you'd imagine that won't be any issue at all. It's roughly about 140 grams in kilograms. You're talking about it in metric measurements, so about 140 grams, 0.3 of a pound. Shouldn't be too much for George Kambosos to lose inside the 2-hour limit, of course, that he has for this fight this morning. While we are here on the stage, we will talk to Devon Haney. Things were flaring up. Devon, if I could have you a quick word, if I could, mate. Always a bit of interest. Devon, first off, you comfortably made weight. The preparation has been exactly what you expected.
Yeah, I'm a true prophet. I came away, I'm far away from home, but I did what I had to do. I made the weight, and I'm a true champion.
You were very vocal very quickly there when you saw that George hadn't made weight. What did you say to him?
I said he ain't shit. He ain't make weight.
Does this build your confidence for tomorrow even more, knowing that George didn't make weight at the first occasion?
I mean, he's sucked up. He's dry. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. We're still going to go in there and fight, but I'm a true champion, and true champions make weight.
Good news for you overnight with the news coming through that your father, Bill Haney, and your trainer, of course, had been granted a last-minute visa approval by the Australian government to be here in your corner tomorrow. What did that mean to you? What was your reaction when you heard that news?
That meant everything to me. Thank you to the Victorian government for making it happen. Thank you, God, and I can't wait for my dad to make it.
Just 24 hours out now from the fight itself, or just over 24 hours. How are the nerves at this point in time?
No nerves, man. I'm ready.
You're ready?
Ready.
We will see you, of course, for a face-off when George makes weight, so please stay with us here this morning. We will... Okay, we will do a face-off right now while the two are here.
Here they are, face to face, ladies and gentlemen. Undefeated champion versus undefeated champion. The result will be, who will be the undisputed lightweight champion of the world? Haney or Cambosis Jr. Tomorrow at Marvel Stadium, 50,000 fans. It's going to be a fight event to remember. Kambosos tomorrow at Marvel Stadium, Melbourne.
The Hellenic Fan Club goes up as one.
Well, it's all happening here at Margaret Court Arena. Plenty of drama at the official weigh-in and a very fiery exchange there between George Kambosis Jr. and Devon Haney. Boy, Jeff Fennick, what did you make of all that?
Well, first thing, Megan, I've got to be honest, for me, you always come and check your weight on the official scales. He checked them on his scales apparently in the hotel, and they said that he was on weight, and the official scales are what counts. So a little disappointed that in that area because, like I said, it's not much weight to lose. It'll be easy, but it's another half an hour he's going to be out there doing something that he shouldn't be doing.
So maybe a little overconfident in George Kambosos' mind of making weight this morning?
Yeah, I'm not sure about overconfident, but like I said, it's common, protocol that you go and you check your weight in the official scales because all scales weigh a little differently.
All right, so what has to happen now?
He'll most probably have a little sauna or have a little sweat, a skip. It's not much weight to lose, and he'll come back and make weight and he'll be ready. But like I said, it's just that a little interruption. And like I said, for me, if it was my fight, he would have been on the official scale well before and would have known what his weight was.
Any doubts about him coming back and making weight, or are you pretty confident he'll be fine?
He's got to make weight or he loses the titles on the scale. But he'll make weight. Like I said, it's very, very minimal, and he'll be here tomorrow as good as gold.
All right, no drama for Devon Haney. How did he look to you physically?
Yeah, he looks great. He's made the weight. He looks great. He's cut up. And like I said, now they just weigh just under 135 pounds. Tomorrow he'll be around 150. So they'll put in a lot of weight, 15 pounds at least.
All right, well, let's talk a bit more about that final exchange between those two. It was pretty fiery, wasn't it? Quite different to the subdued interaction we saw yesterday at that final press conference. But things really spilling over here at Margaret Court Arena.
Yeah, we spoke about that earlier, you and I, how it was going to be, because we've seen all the other opponents shaking hands with each other, and we thought, would that happen? But I said it wouldn't happen. I knew it wouldn't. And at the end of it there, we've seen George's dad, trying to get into a scuffle again, which, like I said, for me, it's totally... Look, it's unneeded. I mean, I'm not sure what was said there, but they don't need to do that. I think in a way it might hype the crowd up and hype the sport up, but I think it's not great for the sport.
How do you got lip reading? Could you make out any of what was said then?
I think they're talking in Greek. I couldn't lip read the Greek.
Very good.
Yeah.
In terms of, I suppose, the mental game and that stare down at the end, does it matter who looks away first? Does it matter who wins that sort of verbal exchange?
Not at all, Megan. I mean, like I said, your fists do the talking. Your eyes, you need your eyes. You need your eyes to be alert in that ring, but now your fists are going to do talking. Tomorrow, we're going to have two guys who are really going to throw a lot of punches at each other.
What happens in these next 2 hours for George Cambosis Jr.? Take us through what he's going to do between now and coming back here to try and make weight.
Yeah, he'll be back here within 20 minutes. And it's not going to take 2 hours. It'll be 15, 20 minutes. He'll make weight, have a little sweat, and then he'll rehydrate and put all that weight back on. So we've got over 24 hours prior to the fight. So half an hour more is not going to make any difference.
How often do we see something like this happen?
Yeah, we've seen it a bit, but like I said, I try to think that we're so professional today. We've got access to the official scales prior to the weigh-in, so use them to make every advantage. Because like I said, although it's only an hour it's going to take, it can play with your head a little bit.
How do you make the genuine hatred between these two? We spoke about it off camera. I mean, there's a lot of tension between these two, isn't there?
Well, it's real. If somebody's calling you a rat and everything else, you wouldn't be too happy. You wouldn't be, going to shake his, and I wouldn't be shaking anybody's hand calling me a rat and every other word that he called him. And so, yeah, this is genuine hatred.
All right, well, you can keep across Fox Sports News and foxsports.com.au as this story continues to develop, and we'll keep you updated as we wait and see how George Kambosis Jr. goes to get back here and make weight. What has to happen once he does make weight over these next 24 hours, or in the case of George Kambosis Jr., it will be less than 24 hours until this fight gets underway?
Yeah, so he'll just make weight now. In the next 20 minutes, he'll make weight, and then he'll rehydrate. And like I said, George will most probably put 10 or 15 pounds as well. And good luck to him. That's what you do. You win the fight on the scales. You make that weight and you're back out there.
As we're seeing it all unfold here just a moment ago, things getting very, very heated. Even the trainers, everyone was sort of involved. No love lost whatsoever between these two.
Yeah, I don't know. Just I don't know if this is needed. These are two great athletes fighting for the ultimate prize of the world of boxing for every belt. So we don't need this one. We'll watch a fight tomorrow, not today.
What do you make of this crowd here? I mean, so much support for George Kambosis Jr. A lot of cheers as this moment happened right here. A lot of support, and it'll show tomorrow at Marvel Stadium.
I'm blessed, Megan. I've fought here in Melbourne. It's the sports capital of the world. If they love you here, and they're showing lots of love for George, and he deserves it.
What did you make of his incredible confidence in that moment? Flexing his muscles, even though he hadn't made weight. He's such a confident guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. It's crazy. He's crazily confident. And like I said, sometimes that can play against you. Being overconfident can play against you. Let's just hope he's not overconfident and he's just confident enough to win this fight.
What about the reception? Devon Haney's expected to get a lot of boos ringing out in this stadium here when he was up on stage.
Yeah, there's 1/20th of the people here that's going to be at the stadium, so it's going to be a lot more rougher for him tomorrow, so get used to it, Devon.
All right, we're hoping to get some more reaction here at Margaret Court Arena, but what's your gut feel, seeing these two up on stage? How do you think this is going to play out tomorrow?
I mean, I don't want to try to think that I'm against the Aussie, but I just know George has got the toughest fight of his life. This is going to be a much tougher fight than fighting Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo on paper was the best fighter in the world. George beat him, and now he's got a huge challenge ahead of him. And look, I take my hat off to George for fighting these top-tier fighters straight away, but this is certainly going to be a very, very difficult fight.
Yeah, it certainly will be. We're going to get some reaction. I think we've got someone here from Devon Haney's camp, perhaps, who... Oh, Ted Kofi, I believe, is going to come in and have a quick chat with us. He's standing by. We're going to get some reaction. Here he is. Come on, Ted.
I mean, Teddy boy.
Ted, great to see you.
Good to see you.
What do you make of everything you've just witnessed over the past 15 minutes or so?
Amazing. I mean, whoever thought this would take place? I mean, look, we've all been anticipating this, and George has been amazing and trained so hard, and he probably just didn't anticipate it himself. But Michael Buffer said it best. Them hotel scales. I mean, who made them hotel scales? But I'm sure he's going to get the weight off and come in.
Ted, you're a professional. I mean, I'm a trainer. The first thing you do is you come to the official scales, exactly. and you get on those scales, because how many hotel scales have been wrong?
True.
You know, so they had the opportunity to do that. Maybe they didn't because they thought he was going to make it easily.
Yeah.
But look, it's 30 minutes. It's not going to play no big part.
Look, it shouldn't make a big difference. Who wants to burn that energy in the morning of a big fight or the day before a big fight? But I'm sure that it's just going to be ticked off to a well-valued mistake, you know, when he comes in and hopefully wins this fight.
What's going to happen, do you think, over the next couple of hours? How do you see things going for George from here on?
Well, it depends how you look at it mentally. We know that George has got great mental fortitude, so this shouldn't bother him too much. However, you know, is it the first chink of the armour that's been buckled a little bit? You know, like when you prepare so diligently and your whole team tell you and show you that this is what you've done or supposed to do, and it doesn't go according to plan, it can start to play a bit of emotional games. However,
and Ted, you've got to think of this. You've got to think of this. They always say how they've left no stone unturned. They're perfectionists at everything they're doing. That's unprofessional. I mean, if you don't check your weight on the official scales, it's crazy. It's not professional. So I'm not having a dig at these guys. I'm just being honest. Me as a trainer would be the first thing I would do an hour before. If I would have checked my fighter's weight to make sure that he's on weight. If he's under, I'd let him drink and I'd check the weight again. And but they didn't do that.
Exactly. Well, diligence and due diligence. You know, you've got to double and triple check all the time. If the hotel scales are wrong, get a second, get a third pair. But you know, it's not great being the home fighter to do this, but it is what it is. We can't take it back, right? He's got to rectify it and make up for it in the ring.
What did you make of the heated exchange between these two? Things getting pretty fiery up on stage there?
Well, there's a lot of passion, a lot of desire, and there's a hell of a lot at stake. But I'll tell you something, Haney is absolutely no joke. You know, he's here to win, Jeff, as you know. He's a good fighter.
I've just been overseas. I watched him train for a month or so when I was at Bones Adams' gym. And I say, he reminds me a lot of Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate professional. Look, and for George to win this fight, George has got to be at his best and make Devon fight George's fight.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with Jeff. George has got to be at his best and then some. If George is any less than 105%, I'm afraid we're going to see the inevitable. But, you know, they're two great fighters. They've both got a different set of skills, and it'll make for a fantastic fight tomorrow.
So just a bit of information just on this way in here. Devon Haney arriving. You spoke about it before, the fact that George Cambosis Jr. arrived so late, just a few minutes before. Devon Haney got here half an hour beforehand, had that time to come in and check his weight on the scales, and Cambosis Jr. literally rocked up a few minutes before. So just going back to that point, perhaps a little bit overconfident.
Megan, the most important thing is today you make weight on the first go. And look, like I said, those scales have been here for hours. I would have had my fighter in here 2 hours before just to make sure, you know. And then if he was a little bit under, I'd let him drink some fluid and rehydrate him early and do those kind of things. So like I said, as professionals, George might think his team is, they've dropped the ball once today already.
who's to blame for that? Is that George, or is it his team? Is it people around him who are advising him?
Well, you know, look, great management, including self-management, is about delegation. You've got to delegate the right people to do the right things, and you trust people around you to get it right. Look, it's an unfortunate situation. At this level, should those mistakes be made? Who knows? I mean, if you fight this level, maybe.
At this level, it shouldn't be made. At this level, you're professional. This is the biggest fight in Australian boxing history. The guy doesn't make weight. I mean, it's crazy. And it's just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
It's 0.3. It's nothing, but it means he's got to go out and train or sweat for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You're confident he will make weight?
Oh, he'll make weight.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ted? He will?
Yeah, I think he'll make weight, you know, but like you say, you're coming into the biggest fight of your life. It's the first defense of your potentially undisputed titles, and you don't make weight. So straight away, you're burning 20 or 30 minutes of solid energy to do some double skips or whatever you're going to do to lose the weight. And that could put an emotional chink in the armor. Devon Haney is no joke. If the body's got anything to do with things, Devon Haney looked fantastic. It was in great condition, and he hit the scales as close to humanly possible as the weight, and that's exactly where he needs to be. So as far as Devon Haney is concerned, he's done everything right.
That's professional.
Yeah, it's up to George now to do everything right.
What would happen, worst case scenario, unlikely, but worst case scenario, if he didn't make weight?
Well, then you lose the title.
Don't say, Jeff.
on the scales, you lose the fight will still go ahead, but it won't be for the belts. And if Devon Haney wins, he gets the belts automatic.
That would be incredible, wouldn't it? I mean, unlikely, but incredible if something like that was to happen.
Highly unlikely.
It's happened before. But
it has happened, but it doesn't happen when people are 0.3 over me. And if it was 1.5 kilos or 2 kilos, difference. But this is a walk around the block, maybe go to the toilet, and he'll be fine.
What do you made of the lead up to this fight, all the build-up, everything between these fighters, the last week coming up to this point, Ted?
Well, I think that George Kambosos has tried to get under Devon Haney's skin. Unfortunately, I don't think he has. At the end of the day, they're both professionals. I think George probably utilises his own confidence and bravado to get himself onto game day. Some people on game day, they're just extremely quiet. They say nothing. Other people are just extremely loud and talk and get themselves in a position. I think it's been good. It's added some colour to this promotion. It's been excellent.
Do you think that's an indication of how he is really feeling on the inside? Do you think perhaps, you know, behind the scenes when the cameras aren't rolling, he is feeling quite that confident going into this fight?
Well, look, at this level, you don't go into a contest not being confident. You may have some shadow of doubt, a little bit of nerves, but when you've reached this pinnacle, if you like, Hamilton doesn't go into a racing a car thinking, I'm not going to win. So, of course, he's going to be confident, but this isn't going to help because Devon Haney is spot on.
Yeah, and sometimes I look at it, Ted, and I think, is he a bit overconfident? Is he a bit too confident? And we'll find that out tomorrow as well. He'll find that out.
Yeah.
And that's the scary thing. Like you said, Devon Haney looks amazing to me, and I've watched him train. I've been overseas with him, and he's an amazing, talented young man.
He's very good.
Well, we were hoping to see if George Cambosis Jr may come out here very shortly. It's not going to happen. We're going to have to sit tight and wait a little bit longer, but you can keep up to date with everything on Fox Sports News and on our website, foxsports.com.au as well. Boys, thanks very much for your time this morning. Jeff, thank you to you, Ted, for popping in as well at the last moment. Now, make sure you catch all the action tomorrow. Of course, we're on Fox Sports from 9 a.m. Eastern, and then we flick across to main event from 11 a.m. as we build up to this incredible fight here, George Kambosos Jr and Devon Haney. If you haven't already, make sure you head to mainevent.com and purchase this fight. You do not want to miss out. Thanks very much for joining us from the official weigh-in this morning. We'll see you back here tomorrow for a massive day of fight action. Yes, welcome back to Margaret Court Arena here in Melbourne, where the official weigh-in ahead of the George Kambosos Jr and Devon Haney fight continues. Yes, if you've just joined us, extraordinary scenes earlier as Kambosos Jr missed weight. He called for the towel. He was 0.36 pounds or 140 grams overweight. He was given 2 hours to go away and lose the weight. He's not too far away from weighing in, but as you can see here, his team, they've had a look at the scales. They wanted them recalibrated to make sure there was no issues with the scale. For more on this, Jeff Fetty and Ted Kofi join me. Boys, your thoughts on what's taking place now? The Kambosos Jr team wanting these scales recalibrated.
Yeah, so what they just done, Megan, was they got maybe a 5 pounder or 5 kilogram dumbbell, and they put it on the scales to make sure it was the right weight.
Bit of booing going on in the background there, Ted.
Yeah, emotions are riding very, very high. Like we said before, there's a hell of a lot on the line, so people are just anxious now to see what happens. Let's have a fight.
Do you think there could have been an issue with the scales, Jeff?
No, definitely not. But because they moved them off the stage, they wanted them recalibrated, which is understandable because you've lifted the scales up and they may have just a couple of grams here or there. But look, they've now put the dumbbells on there to make sure it was correct. Whatever the dumbbell weighed, the scales would have read the same weight reading, and now we're ready to weigh in.
Is this something we see often, Ted?
Not at this level. I mean, at this level, you've done your checks, your pre-checks, you even pre-checks. So nobody anticipated this, but it just puts a lot of anxiety into what's going to happen tomorrow, doesn't it? I'm sure everything's going to be okay, fingers crossed.
Who's to blame for this, do you think? I mean, is this Cambosis Jr., is this his team not checking his weight, rocking up 5 minutes before he was due on the scales?
I'm just going to be blatantly honest. I mean, it's a slip-up. It's something that an amateur person might do. They're talking about how professional we are and this and that. Listen, the official scales are there hours before to check your weight. And I don't care what the scales in the hotel weighed, or if you thought you had any scales in your room, the official ones are the ones you've got to get on and check your weight with. Every fighter in the world does it.
Well, I've just got news that he has actually weighed in under. No, sorry, Sorry, I'm just getting news coming through, but hopefully George Cambosis Jr. will be here very shortly. Warren Smith
I am going to
is here. He can give us a bit of an update on what's going on.
Megan, I've been out the back with the Kambosos camp just seeing what's happening here in this situation. It's very stressful out the back, as you can imagine. George went in at 135.36 pounds. We're working in pounds for the purposes of today, given this is an international fight and we're being beamed into America. So it equates to around about 137 grams that George had to lose to get under that 135-pound limit. He has until 12:27 local time here in Melbourne to make the 135-pound limit. So at this stage, while George will probably be under the limit, well inside that time, they're going to take every chance they can get to make sure he is comfortably under the limit. There has been drama out the back, though, because I can tell you the scales, the official scales used on stage for all 24 fighters who'll fight tomorrow at Marvel Stadium, were moved off the stage at some point after we went off the air, after we had got through all of the undercard fighters. For what purpose? We don't know. It seems to be a major mistake by the authorities and the governing boards who are here this weekend, of course, with 4 different organisations in charge of this particular fight. The scales were moved onto the floor under their purposes, they said, to allow George Cambosis Jr. to weigh in away from the official stage itself before he would weigh in officially, so he could check his weight basically, as most fighters do, and as pretty much every fighter did this morning, as it turns out, apart from Terry Nicholas, who's in the Kambosos camp, and also George Cambosis Jr. They were both comfortably under the weight on the scales they were using in the team hotel. Both of them, Terry Nicholas only just made his weight, fractionally under by a couple of grams, as it turns out, as we now know. George Kambosos was some 139 grams thereabouts over the 135-pound limit, using 2 different decimal currencies as far as the metrics and the imperial measurements are concerned. So the scales are going to have to be moved back on stage. They'll have to be recalibrated. Of course, that calibration hopefully matches up with what we had for all 24 fighters initially, Jeff. There is a lot of drama and angst behind the scenes out the back here at Margaret Court Arena, I can tell you.
I think we watched them recalibrate the scales already, so if I was George, I'd be getting on the scales as quick as I could. I wouldn't be waiting to 12:30. The quicker we get on the scales, the quicker we can rehydrate, the quicker we can eat, and we can put the weight back on. So I don't know what they're waiting for.
From your perspective, Jeff, I'm sure you've spoken about this with Megan and Ted over the past hour or so, but I mean, what does this do to the mindset of George Kambosos going into tomorr's fight?
I'm not too sure. George is one of these guys who's really headstrong, and like I said, he has got a lot of time still to rehydrate and make weight. But look, it certainly makes Devon Haney a little more confident, that's for sure.
You were up on stage a little bit earlier. What did you make of everything? You know, you were as close as anyone could be, and of course, all the tension, everything that boiled over as well. There's
a couple of issues with the scales themselves. We take a look at the vision from earlier today that the floor of the stage is a little bit flexible, like it's a sort of, you know, plywood sort of floor. There's a bit of give in the floor initially. So with that many people, as you can see, crowded around the scales there. The floor is moving ever so slightly. That doesn't help get an exact weight for George Cambosis Jr. The fact that he had to take off the underwear and get down to the towel also didn't help, because at one stage the towel was being held against his body. And that was certainly affecting the weight. The moment they did that, his weight actually increased. The number coming up was 135.5 pounds or thereabouts.
Well, if George knew, if he just would have put his finger on the towel and pushed down, he would have been underweight.
Yeah.
Very simply.
It was an amazing scene. Obviously, the Haney camp, sensing there was massive drama for Team Kambosos, they were chirping away and sledging George for all the money under the sun. They were into him for the rent. George obviously there under pressure, looking at the scales. You can see there, I'm in the corner of the screen, and I'm saying take the towel away from George. That certainly brought the weight down, but it flickered to 134.97 perhaps a couple of times, but the scale doesn't sit exactly on a number. It will fluctuate within a range of 100 grams or thereabouts, which is quite a deal of fluctuation given what's on the line here. It's a precise thing. You've got to weigh in at an exact moment, 24 hours before the fight, as we know. And to have a set of scales with that much fluctuation in them on a floor, which also has a bit of give in it as well, it's a less than ideal situation. I think there's been a lot of lessons learnt from all involved here today. And I dare say, if there's, should we be back here later in the year and having a rematch, we won't be in this exact same situation. I guarantee you that, Jeff.
It's a pretty simple message, Cheddar. You go and check your weight on the official scales. Yeah. They're called the official scales. That's where you got. That's where you make weight on, not on scales in your hotel.
The absolute fact about this whole thing is 23 fighters made the weight, 1 didn't. That's really the absolute fact. So George has got to, get back on top, get back in his stride, take a deep breath, make the weight, and put the fight on.
And those other 23 people, I've seen them all go up on the stage during the morning and check their weight. I've seen, just about every one of them check their weight on the official scales to make sure they made weight.
Okay, well, everyone tuning in right now wants to know how far away is George Cambosis Jr. from getting back on those scales and attempting to make weight, Warren?
I would love Megan to be able to say we'll have George under the 135-pound limit in the next 10 to 15 minutes. In reality,
we've just heard he's on the move.
Yep.
Is that right?
We've heard he's on the move.
I will head back to the stage and leave you with it, and let's hope everything's
We're getting information coming in every moment here, so you get moving, you get up to the stage.
Let's hope that 137.1 is gone.
I won't weigh 135, I'll guarantee you that.
Oh boy, it's all happening here, isn't it? Certainly not what we expected when we arrived here today, but nothing like a bit of drama on the eve of the biggest fight of the year, Ted.
Megan, drama indeed. I mean, look at this. I mean, this waiting around, this anticipation. I mean, call it unprofessionalism, call it a bad luck, call it what you will. The whole thing is, it's not straightforward now.
Ted, I'm really happy I'm getting paid by the hour. Take your time, George.
Okay. Let's just drag it on. Oh, here he comes.
There he comes.
Thank you for your patience. If we could have you moving back from the stage, it is very, very important at this point in time. If we could have you all moving back to the seated area and no closer. If we could have security to look after the situation, we can't have anybody touching the stage, affecting the weight of George Cambosis Jr. here. It is very, very important with so much, literally the 4 belts and millions of dollars on the line in this situation. So if we could have you all please, ladies and gentlemen, moving back away from the stage. We will have George on stage in just a few moments' time. Okay, we need one of the commissioners, please. If one of the commissioners could please make their way to the stage for the official weigh-in. We will have limited representatives on the stage for this second weigh-in. Simone Bailey from the Victorian Combat Sports Authority rejoining us here for this official weigh-in. George Kambosos has until 12:27 local time to make weight. It has been a dramatic morning and only adds to the fuel of what we'll see tomorrow. George Kambosis Jr. weighs in at 134.49 pounds. We have weight and we undisputed lightweight championship of the world, with all the belts officially underway now tomorrow. It is like a football final in the city of grand finals. None does it as big as Melbourne. We have a massive moment tomorrow. We will speak to George in a moment's time as he comfortably made weight there at 134.49 pounds, with Devon Haney having weighed in earlier under the 135-pound limit. Never I guess it was never in doubt.
Hey, art of war, baby. Deception. Let them believe that this was done. Everything is for a cause. Everything is for a process. Trust me, tomorrow, just be here.
How shocked were you that you didn't make weight first time around?
Art of war, deception. Maybe I did on purpose.
I like it. What did you do out the back to make weight? Or have you not done anything different? What did you do out the back?
I took a piss. Simple as easy. I chilled out. I was about to have a Greek coffee. I thought, you know what, let me go make the weight. Now I'm going to go have a Greek coffee. See you all tomorrow.
Thanks, George. One more question. Does this change anything? What's the plan between now and fight time tomorrow?
Changes nothing. It changes his mindset now. Trust me, art of war, deception. Bring it on. I'm ready. More than ready. Let's go.
There is George Cambosis Jr, who has made weight some 1 hour and 15 minutes beyond the first weigh-in, but George Cambosis Jr has made weight at 134.49 pounds tomorrow. For the WBC franchise, the WBC regular belts, the IBF, the WBO and the WBA belt, it's Haney versus Kambosos Jr. For the moment, Megan Barnard, it is back to you, Ted Kofi and also Jeff Fennick.
Yeah, we can breathe a big sigh of relief right now. George Kambosos Jr, he has made weight for his big fight against Devon Haney tomorrow. But Jeff Fennick and Ted Kofi alongside me, boys. We're on for tomorrow. It's done and dusted. He's made weight.
Wow. Yeah, we're on. I mean, amazing. And what turned out to be somewhat of adversity is turned into a positivity. He, tongue-in-cheek, turned it into a joke and said, actually, I'm better than ever. Great weigh-in.
He said he may have done it on purpose. I don't know about that, Jeff.
Yeah, even I, but hey, look, his dad was jumping around like he just won the world title again. He made weight. It was amazing scenes here. It's great. It sets up for an amazing day tomorrow. Nobody missed it on main event and Fox. It's going to be an amazing event.
Is it a setback for him, the fact that he's had to go away now for these, last 45 minutes and whatever he's had to do, sweat it out to make this weight? Devon Haney, meantime, he's off. He's putting it back on.
With George's mindset, I don't think it's going to be at all. It doesn't bother at all, as you've seen there. But is it a facade? Is it a front? I'm not sure, because George is great at that stuff. But look, like I said, he's still got over 24 hours to rehydrate and to do everything else. I remember when I used to fight, when we weighed in the afternoon and we fought in the night. So he's going to be fine.
Final comment from you two. After all of this drama and as we looked ahead to tomorrow, a gut feel on how you see this panning out, Jeff?
Like I said, I'll say it again, it's going to be the toughest fight of George's life. He's fighting somebody of amazing quality, got the whole skill set level, and it's going to be tough for him.
And Ted?
Well, George turned a negative into a positive and walked away, high on life. He's got the fight of his life, just like Jeff said. He's going to be in against it all. He's going to need all the will, desire and spot and strength he's got. But, you can't sleep on Devon Haney. He grew up in the Mayweather Vegas gyms and all the great places, so it's going to be a hell of a fight. I'm commentating, so I can't pick, but in my brain, I just know it's going to be a hell of a fight.
Bring it on. One sleep to go. Not long. Boys, thanks very much for your thoughts this morning. If you haven't already, make sure you purchase this fight on mainevent.com, our coverage from 11 a.m. East. We cannot wait to see you tomorrow. Have a great day.